Clerks will call the roll.
Glenn Whitley, County Judge.
Here.
Roy C. Brooks, Commissioner Precinct 1.
Present.
Marty Van Ravensway, Commissioner Precinct 2. Gary Fickus, Commissioner Precinct 3.
Present.
J.D. Johnson, Commissioner Precinct 4.
Here.
Constitutes a quorum.
Who turned those over?
Oh, we're recovering from a bail bonds meeting.
Oh.
Our invocation this morning will be delivered by David Barrett, the chaplain over in the Sheriff's Department. After the invocation, if you'll remain standing for the pledges, please.
Would you bow with me, please? Our God, recognizing our need of you today and every day throughout this new year, I pray these words from the Celtic prayer book. Rise energy, strength sustained, Tuesday's work for fingers trained, toil of our hands, work of our mind, God's great grace is intertwined. No worthy task is entertained till Spirit's gifts are full retained. All our efforts so maintained by gifts of grace, heaven is gained. Bless the work, bless the day. Come to aid us, angels stay. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, David.
David. Okay. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to wish everybody a Happy New Year. And one thing that we'll do before we kind of get started this morning is also wish a happy birthday to Suzanne Henderson. Today's her birthday. So. And at this time, I'll call on Mr. Manius for our agenda announcements.
Your Honor, we do not have any announcements for the court this morning.
Oh, my.
It's the new year.
This is the new year, and this celebrates your anniversary with the county, and so you figured after, 20 years, you finally get it right and not have to have any agenda announcements? It only took 20 years for that to happen?
New Year's resolution.
I
You know, Your Honor, I really wish you wouldn't get into this kind of stuff.
I just don't know what to do. You're not getting up here and telling us that you have several items that you want to change.
I'll be in the back.
You think so, huh? You have court members. You have before you the minutes of our regular meeting of December the 27th.
Move approval. Second.
It's up to y'all to figure it out. We have a motions and we have seconds. Any discussion? Please vote. And the motion passes unanimously. That brings us to time every month that we very much enjoy and very much look forward to. It's our employee recognition, and don't you think you're going anywhere? I can see you getting ready to get up and leave, and it's not going. You can't do that today. You got to stay with us.
Sheriff Anderson wants me to talk to him back.
Well, he's not running this meeting.
Thanks, D. I appreciate it.
We'll start off with our 5-year employees, and as I call your name, if you'll stand, and then wait till we've had a chance to call all of that particular group, and then we'll give you the recognition that you so much deserve. Our first of our 5-year employees is Sharon Brush with the Sheriff's Department. Next is Carla Calhoun with Sheriff Warrants. Mary Caro, Probate Court Number 1. There you go. Corin. Well, just again, if it sounds close, pop up. Arthur Clayton with the District Attorney's Office. Ernest Doman with the Sheriff's Courtesy Patrol. Christy Dunn with the District Attorney's Office. Kara Fothery, Sheriff Confinement. Vincent Giardino, CCC number 4. Amy Gorman, Public Health. Welcome. Valina Hurd, Tax Office. Fernando Herrera with Public Health. Sonia Hunter, Public Health. Timothy Hutchison, Sheriff Patrol. Raquel Jones, District Attorney's Office. Welcome.
Good.
Craig King, Sheriff Confinement. Michael Klein, Sheriff Patrol. Christy McDowell, Sheriff Confinement. McDowell, isn't it? Yeah, well, we just, sometimes I read it and I said, that's not it. You didn't pronounce that right. Mac Mitchell, that's right. She followed instructions and she just popped up. Sheriff Confinement. Dale Morgan, CDC number 4. Judge Deborah Neekum, CCC number 4. Cleophas Almas. That's highly probable he's here and I really messed that one up. Cecilia Rodriguez Rogers, CSCD. Judge Jennifer Rimmel, CCL number 2. Ann Sanderson, Sheriff Confinement. James Shield, Public Health. James, welcome. Arpita Shaw, Public Health.
Very good.
Ronnie Smith, District Attorney's Office. Judge Mike Thomas, CDC number 4. Roxanne Tucker, Sheriff Confinement. Roxanne. Judge Lynn Wade, the 141st District Court. Melissa West, Sheriff Communications. And Elizabeth Wilkerson, Sheriff Confinement. Let's give these 5 years a hand. Thank you all very much. Our 10-year employees, Lisa Barber, Public Health. Lisa, welcome. Mark Bloodworth, Information Technology. All right. Kenneth Bridges, Sheriff's Courts. Alfreda Bryant, Sheriff Confinement. Patricia Eves, Justice of the Peace, Precinct 2. Patricia. Ashley Fort, District Attorney's Office. Ashley. Debbie Griever, Public Health. Douglas Kelly, Precinct 1 Maintenance. Lucy Martinez, Public Health. Edgar Meza, Sheriff Warrants. David Van Horn, Sheriff Confinement. And James Webster Jr., District Attorney's Office. James, welcome. Let's give these 10-year employees. Now for our 15-year employees. Donna Bash, Public Health. Phil Blankenship, Information Technology. Charles Cole, Facilities Management. Don Cox, Sheriff's Courts. Marion Cox, Sheriff Confinement. Janet Crowder, Sheriff's Warrants. We so want to congratulate. Yes, you get so much of our sympathy. Judge Ken Curry, 153rd District Court. Deborah Falcone, District Attorney's Office. Well, I'm sorry. Ann and I are going to have to talk about phonetically spelling, or me phonetically reading. Jim Glenn, District Attorney's Office. Doug Gowan, District Clerk's Office. Doug, welcome. Gloria Hamilton, Medical Examiner. Constable David Harris, Precinct 2. Constable, we appreciate all the years you've given to Tarrant County, and appreciate you being here today. Don Harris, Sheriff Confinement. Wanda Ingles, Sheriff Confinement. Kathy Jones Robertson, Transportation. Kathy. Constable Joe Hughes, Precinct 6. Ellen Lane, the 342nd District Court. Sandra Manning, Public Health. You know, I really got to go back and give that same sympathy to Ellen. It just dawned on me that the judge of the 342nd District Court is also celebrating his 15 years with the county, Judge Bob Mcrae, alias Barbara Bush.
I was told there was going to be food.
Having already made one comment, there are so many more that come to mind that I will, at least at this point in time, use what little discretion I have. But refreshments will be served. Vicki Pettico, Sheriff Confinement. Close?
Not really.
Jerry Randolph. I know I got that one right. Precinct 3 Maintenance. Jerry, welcome. Richard Rousseau, District Attorney's Office. Christy Smith, CCC number 10. Barbara Terry, Sheriff Personnel. Carl Voss, Purchasing. Carl. And Scott Ray, CSCD. Let's give all our 15-year employees. Now for our 20-plus years, I have an opportunity to call and talk with them. Some I'm able to wrangle stories out of, others not so successful. Some I get stories out of, and then they call the next morning and say, you know you really can't tell that story. And I honor their wishes, and so those of you who are out there who've done that, you know, and you can sit in your chair safely until I call upon you and know that I won't tell what you told me not to tell. Our first 20-year employee is Jeffrey Collins. Is Jeffrey here? He didn't think he was going to be able to make it, but I wanted to just make sure. Next is Joan Hubbard. Joan, there she is. Welcome this morning. She is 20 years with the District Clerk's Office. Another one to be well thought of, and keep in your prayers on an everyday type basis.
Bless her heart.
She started out with the district clerk, actually began in the bond forfeiture area, then moved over to the civil section, and is now the assistant manager in the criminal division, and has been there since 1990. When I asked her her more memorable moments, it was really always the opportunity to work on projects where she felt like she was kind of helping and making government more efficient. And she said, over the years, I've had a lot of opportunities to do that. And it's really, again, in all honesty, it goes back to the elected officials and their ability to look out and to try to focus on things that will make the operations run better. And she said she's really always enjoyed that. She said over the last several years she's had the ability, and one of her jobs was to kind of track the legislation as it was going through the legislature and to see what impact it was going to have upon county government, and she said she's really enjoyed that. When I asked her what she liked most, she said, Tarrant County really is a great place to work. The people are nice people. They're folks who want to help one another out and help the public out as they go about doing their jobs. Joan, we appreciate very much the 20 years you've given to Tarrant County. Now, next is our own G.K. Manius. Yes. 20 years. Started with Judge English. He said that, as I was kind of looking at this and I was talking through this process, what I did come to realize is that you're the only one here that's still here that's responsible for him.
I did not vote for the position. I voted for him.
Well, and then when I asked him what his more memorable moment was, he said, well, the first year he was here, the auditor tried to do away with the office. And narrowly failed in his attempt to do that. Again, when I talk to GK, and again, this is we hear this more and more often, it's the people that he really enjoys working with the most. And whether you know it or not, GK has worked for the governor's office. He's worked in the private sector. And in our conversation, what he said was, this is really the best place he's ever had an opportunity to work. And really goes back to the fact that we all work together. He said he truly believes this is the best county in the state, and that the people who work here are what makes it so. And he did go ahead and add that this was certainly the absolute best court he had ever had a chance to work for. And he mentioned that it would be at least until the next court came along. Now, GK, I know that you're not going to have an opportunity to go back for refreshments, so we put, Ann did put together a little deal here. And your cookies, oatmeal. And your 20-year pencil. Come on forward. Congratulations.
Just one thing about that is that.
Now, I don't know that we give people here an opportunity.
No rebuttals.
But I guess in this one instance, if you'd like to make a couple of comments.
Turn your mic on first.
The only thing is that, it's been a great run so far, and I really do appreciate not only you all, but all the elected officials, but really the employees. This is what makes us who we are, and we're pretty damn good.
Well, it has been a great run. It has been a great run, and I hope there's many, many more years in this run. So we do very much appreciate your herding of the cats, as it were. Our next employee is Peggy Mcrae with Veteran Services. Peggy here?
Yes.
Hello, Peggy. Peggy started out in Human Services and was there for about 6 years, and then when Veteran Services were transferred kind of out and went to, Bob Van Riper went out as a director, she had a chance to transfer with them and made that step, and she now helps really the veterans and their families file for benefits. And she said when I went into that, I didn't have a clue as to what I was doing or what was going on or what was offered, and she said I just pulled out those federal regulations and started reading. And she learned that maze of paperwork that the federal government all too often puts people through, and has really enjoyed acting as an advocate for the people she works with and the people that she serves. When I asked her what she likes most, she talked about the benefits. She talked about what a comfortable place it was to work, and how much she enjoyed her job and enjoyed the time with Tarrant County. When I asked her what else, if anything else, she'd like to make sure I mentioned, she said, you know, the real loves of her life were her sons, 27-year-old and 19-year-old, and that she was just as proud as she could be of them, and she really wanted to make sure that they were mentioned in that process. So we want to thank you again, Peggy, and thank you for the years of service to Tarrant County. Next is Jerry Womack. Jerry? There's Jerry. Jerry is in the sheriff's confinement area, has been with the county for 20 years, started off and has been with the sheriff's department all along. Started off as a polygraph examiner, and when he said that, I've talked with folks now for, I guess, about 13 months, and that's the first time I've heard polygraph examiner. And so that seemed to me like it would be a pretty interesting job. He said he then from there moved into the grievances areas of the jail, and now was in ID and the ID and booking area. When I asked him what he liked most, he said, I had always looked for and have really enjoyed my career in law enforcement. He all too often, as those of you who I'm recognizing today and have recognized in the past know, I have a tendency to catch you at times when you're a little off guard. And he said, these are tough questions. I'd really like for you to see if you can't come up with some yes and no questions. But Jerry has worked with Tarrant County and has been in the law enforcement area for 20 years, and we very much appreciate your time and your service to the citizens of Tarrant County. Next is Glenda Clayton, Constable Precinct 1. There's Glenda over there. Said she started out when Lon Evans was sheriff, and started out in the sheriff's department, stayed there through Sheriff Carpenter and Williams, and then Anderson. Spent most of the time in the civil and warrants, and then went into patrol, and then has now been with the constable's office for 3 years. She's the office manager over there, and as court will, I'm sure, remember, there was a time when we moved the civil warrants from really the sheriff's departments out to the constable, and Glenda really works that area and has been a part of that area at the sheriff's department, and then moved out there was obviously the logical fit for that. She moved out there again when the child support papers and works with the civil warrants and child support. Very close unit. When I asked her the more memorable moment, she just said, I have a lot of great memories of my time with Tarrant County. It becomes like a family. The people become like a family as they go through it. And then the ability to meet people all over the county. Because of the position that she's in, she has an opportunity to talk with all the constables, with a lot of the folks in the various departments. And she said she really enjoys that. She said it's been a great privilege to work for Tarrant County, that she's grown up with the county and has made a great deal of friends with them. And we really, Glenda, appreciate your time with Tarrant County and your dedication to the citizens. Thank you very much. The next of our 25-year employees is Judge Gary Ritchie, and I talked with Judge Ritchie yesterday. He had a full load on his court this morning and wasn't going to be able to make it down there, but we certainly appreciate him and the effort that he's given to Tarrant County. Next is Betty Wagner, and she's with Information Technology. Where's Betty? There she is. Now, she's been on vacation, and is actually on vacation through next week, decided to go ahead and come on in, and I'm really glad that she did. And I guess you go by Janie, don't you? You started off in the CETA program and worked there, and the judge in that particular program really helped to train her. She said in the beginning I couldn't type, They helped me to get to the point to where I was then qualified to apply for a full-time job. She worked in the county clerk's area in the criminal section, worked up to being a supervisor there. And then she said there was this computer nerd that really kind of got her interested in what was going on with the computers and really kind of, encouraged her and helped her along. Mark O'Neill was that individual and got her interested in programming and actually taught her programming. And she moved to IT and has been there for the last 5 years. When I asked her about her more memorable moments, it was the opportunity that the county offered her for a career. And I think, as I listened to her talk, I think the thing that I felt very good about was the fact that the county did take someone, help them, train them, did everything they could to encourage them to progress. And I think what it says and what Janie said is if you're willing to work hard and you're willing to do things, Tarrant County will help you and will make you succeed. When I asked her what she liked most, she said it was the fairness and how people treated one another. It was the chance to be better. Every person needs a niche, and the county is so diversified that it gives someone the chance to find theirs. She talked again about the opportunities that are there for someone who wants to work hard, that people will help you to succeed, and that people took her under their wing and really helped her to develop her potential and to be able to move forward. And Janie, we are so glad that you came to Tarrant County, that you started with us and that you've continued with us for this 25 years, and we hope you're with us for a long time to come. Next is Wanda Atchison with the Sheriff's Warrants area. There's Wanda. She started out in dispatch and spent about 18 years there, and while there was promoted to sergeant. In April of '96, she moved to the North Patrol area and then came back to warrants later on in that '96. She has been responsible, I guess, for the extradition, transportation, and mental warrants part of the Sheriff's Department. When I asked of her more memorable moments, and she said this with a little bit, she said, all of the different sheriffs. I can relate to that, and
I sure can.
yeah, I'm sure you can. When I asked her what she liked most, she said the county had some great people, and she said, Sheriff Anderson and his staff have been one of the greatest to work for. That they've really brought the whole department up to a very professional attitude, and it has been just a fantastic. I guess 4 or 5 years, 6. How many years? 7. Time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it?
Political paid ad.
This is a paid political announcement for Sheriff by Wanda Atchison. Well, I don't know if it was paid for, but it was a political. We're not going to go there. When I asked her what else she really liked about it, she said, folks in the Sheriff's Department really throughout the county really take care of one another, that she just didn't have enough good things to say about the people that she worked with and that she worked for. And she was very careful to say both of those. That it was an up and down the line feeling that we want to help one another out. When I asked her if there was anything else, she said, I just love my job and I want to continue to work as long as I can. She said, people ask me every day, you got 30 years in, why don't you retire? And she said, I love what I do, and when you can get up and love coming to work, then you just want to keep on doing it. So Wanda, we appreciate the 30 years you've given to Tarrant County, and we hope you'll get us 30 more. Next is Greg Frick with Juvenile Services. There's Greg. Started out in the Juvenile Services in the detention center, then moved over to intake and was there for, I guess, 5 or 6 years, and now is the supervisor in the detention area. came to work for Tarrant County right out of college and said he really enjoys working with the kids on a day-to-day basis. He said, you know, there's some hard times, but there's also a lot of great times that go with that opportunity. He said there's a tremendous amount of teamwork. And I hear this over and over again in, I hear it a lot in the juvenile area, in the sheriff's department area, but to be very honest with you, I hear it coming from all the departments, and I really do believe that's what contributes so much to the success of Tarrant County. When I asked him what he liked most, again, it was the people. He said they're fun to be around, and they're always willing to help. Had some great supervisors, great benefits. He said, you know, it's the only job he's ever had, and he's really proud to be able to say that, and he's really been proud to be able to serve Tarrant County. And Greg, we're really proud of the fact that you were able to serve Tarrant County. Thank you very much. Our 35-year employee today is Ron Mccarty. Where's Ron? There he is. No. Not yet. Started out, has spent all 35 years in the Sheriff's Department. Started out in patrol, then moved to CID, and then to the Narcotics Task Force, recruiting, CID, and then was the liaison officer with the Fort Worth ISD for several years, and said that he really had enjoyed that. It was a great position. And he's now serving in the bailiff's position at the Juvenile Detention Center, and he's indicated that that's another area that he's really come to enjoy. When I asked him for his more memorable moments, he said, you know, at his 25th anniversary, Judge Vandergriff congratulated him, and he made the statement, he said, Judge, I'll see you at the 30 year. And at the 30 year, he said, he told the judge he'd see him at his 35th, and I related to him. We had hoped that Judge Vandergriff would be here today because, if many of you haven't noticed, there's some pictures missing in here. We have moved those to the wall outside of the courthouse, and we have added outside of this courtroom, and we've added Judge Vandergriff's picture there. Hopefully his schedule wouldn't permit today, but we're hopeful that in the next month or so he'll be able to come, and we'll be able to recognize him and have a chance to show him the picture. But I just related to Ron that I thought you were going to get a chance to tell Judge that we see him on his 40th anniversary. When I asked him what he liked most, he said he had really enjoyed the sheriff's office, the people that he had an opportunity to serve with, and the benefits the county had to offer. He said it has really been a joy. There's been a lot of ups and downs. He said, it just seems like yesterday. Just seems like yesterday that he started with the county, and I think we all relate to sometimes how quickly time flies by. But, Ron, we very much appreciate the 35 years that you've given to Tarrant County. Thank you. By now, most of you know the drill. Refreshments are served back over here. Yes, I'm at least getting the direction in the right thing. They're 504C. Judge, you all stand out of the way. Mcgrath's heading in that direction. We appreciate you very much, and we'll kind of break for just a couple of minutes and let everybody have a chance to head in that direction. the number of people who work for America's largest private employer, and whereas poll workers are considered critical to the health of America's democracy, working days which typically exceed 12 hours while receiving minimal compensation, and whereas a well-staffed polling place with well-trained workers functions smoothly, allowing the maximum number of voters to cast ballots in a convenient fashion, and whereas in 2007 the state legislature designated the second Tuesday in January as a day to recognize precinct chairs and election volunteers who make valuable contribution to the nation's democratic system, and called it Volunteers for Democracy Day. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, declare this day Volunteers for Democracy Day and recognize that poll workers are the backbone of our election system, providing an essential part of our free democratic process. And further, we extend our appreciation and admiration for the election workers of Tarrant County and the vital services that they perform in conducting the county's election. In witness wherefore, we have heretofore set our hands and caused the seal of Tarrant County to be affixed this 8th day of January, 2008. I'll move its approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just let me comment that I've got a special appreciation for what poll workers do, because my mom was a precinct chair for over 30 years, and I used to watch her election after election after election do the things that poll workers do. It's critical to the democratic process, and I applaud all of you.
No other comments? Please vote. And the motion passes, there you go, unanimously. And at this time, I'm going to call our election administrator, Steve Rayburn, up here to pass out some proclamations and to distribute those for some folks that I think are here today.
Yes, sir, Judge. Commissioners, I just want to thank y'all for recognizing our poll workers today. It's such an important job. We couldn't hold an election without people who are essentially volunteers to doing the jobs that they do. I would say that less than 1% of the people do this for the money that we pay them, the nominal fee that we compensate them for an election. They're doing it because of the love of the process, the love of the election, their civic mindedness. We have people from all walks of life who serve as poll workers. We have retirees, people who take the day off from work. We just can't say enough to thank them. And it's a complex job. They have a maze of paperwork that they have to deal with. They have to be diplomats to deal with difficult situations at the polling places. It's a tough job with long hours, and they're, I would say, generally very underappreciated by the general public. And I just can't say enough to thank them, and I want to thank the court for recognizing them today. We do have both of our party chairs are here today. I think that they both like to make a couple of short remarks with your permission, and we've got several long-serving poll workers here that we invited as representatives of the thousands of people that actually work to conduct the election. And I'll just say their names just to give you an idea. Ellie Hutchison is here, who's been a poll worker for 56 years.
Please stand.
Jane Burbridge has been a poll worker for 40 years. Miss Betty Fisher has been a poll worker for 30 years. And we were supposed to have Joanne Zimmerman here, who's worked for 25 years. Rylan Carlson is going to take the certificate for her this morning. So, but if we could get the party chairs, I think they both wanted to make a couple of quick remarks.
You bet.
And if we could take a photo after that, Judge, we'd really appreciate it.
Ellie and Jane not only have served as poll workers, election judges, and precinct chairmen, but they have mentored several new generations of election workers. And so their contribution to the process is so important. It's a hard job to do, and it takes somebody very patient to teach other people to do it. And I'm pleased that both of them could be here today and that the court would recognize them. Thank you.
Please, the court, Art Brender for the Democratic Party. And, Your Honor, I'm not sure that you realize, but you left your gym shorts, I guess, right here in front of the park. I wasn't sure that it was a very nice ceremony.
So lucky.
Honored.
You could be so
I was afraid when Rayburn came up, he was going to grab him and run off with him because he has all that tiger stuff all over his.
We're not through yet.
I personally, congratulations. I mean, when you bludgeon the other team like that, that's certainly in order. But I actually prefer those where they go down to the last 19 seconds. It's fourth down. You're on the 10-yard line, and your quarterback takes it right in there after he almost trips. You know, I mean, those national championships are what.
And I guess the one thing that I would comment that you brought it up, got to make, is that I had a son last night sitting there watching the game, but my daughter went to UT and was a senior and was at that game also. And I remember that game very well. And let me tell you, it was a whole lot easier to go to sleep with this victory than it was after the last one.
Well, it's a well-deserved victory. The team did a fine job. And I just want to say, on behalf of all these volunteers, the two, Betty and Joanne. Joanne had a little minor surgery, and she probably could have been here, but apparently it was on her nose, and she wasn't going to show up like that. But she's doing fine, and she's fine. And we, I said the same thing, but I got told there really was a problem there. Thank you so much for honoring these folks and for what they do. And really, we do appreciate it because our system, as you know, does run on volunteers, and these people get paid a little bit more now than they used to, but for the most part. And I remember Marie Brooks for years and years and worked with her on all these sort of things because they do so much more than just hold those elections. And it's a long, hard day, but that's just a portion of what they do. And I appreciate you doing it. I appreciate your remarks and the court's proclamation. And once again, I won't take up any more of your time, but on behalf of all Democrats, we all get together, as we all say on Election Day, and Stephanie and I, and I've always worked well with the Republican chair, but Stephanie and I particularly tell these people, the fight's over with, now it's time to make it a fair election, and they do that, and I think they do it very, very well with a very minimum of any kind of contention, and I think that speaks highly of them, maybe more highly than anything we could do or proclaim. So thank you so much once again.
Well, we appreciate your service, Art.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Judge. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Steve? I would, just as Steve came up here this morning, I didn't realize his tie is not quite as obnoxious as mine, but he also has an LSU tie on there. We wanted to make sure that those guests left over from Katrina that were still here felt like it was a little bit of home, so that's why we just put the LSU banner out there, and we wanted to make sure that they didn't.
Y'all are so hospitable.
Thank you very much.
Well, I am a proud graduate of LSU, and I just wanted to thank you for recognizing that. Thank
you. The next resolution is Commissioner Fickus, I believe, is for the Trinity High School Trojan football team. And
yes, sir, it certainly is. Trinity High School, which is the 5A Division I state champions, have done a great job this year, and we're going to present this proclamation at they're going to have a celebration on Thursday evening at 7:30 at Trinity High, and we're going to present them with the proclamation. They have a great team. They've had a great history. They've got a great coach in Coach Lyon, and all of us in Northeast Tarrant County, and then Tarrant County as a whole, we should be very proud of them. So,
You're moving its approval?
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Have before you the consent agenda.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Manius?
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the court, on item 1 under the administrator's section, we're requesting that the Commissioners Court concur with the appointment of Dr. Elvin Adams as the Tarrant County Health Authority. You might note, as the statutes require, our public health director has appointed Dr. Adams, and it requires a concurrence of the Commissioners Court.
Move approval.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Your Honor, I'm going to ask Dr. Illarosa to present item number 2.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning, members of the Commissioners Court. This morning we are asking the Commissioners Court to approve the charter for the Tarrant County Reentry Initiative. In doing so, you're essentially doing two things. The first is formalizing the guiding principles that have led the initiative pretty much since its inception. And secondly, the court is agreeing to appoint an executive steering committee for the Reentry Initiative.
I'd just like to comment that these documents, the charter and the bylaws, were arrived at through a community-wide process. Committees have met for the last 2 years, putting together the structure of a reentry initiative for Tarrant County. It's been a great work by a great many people, but this is just the beginning. And in order to make any dent in the recidivism rate and to provide opportunity for those returning to our county from the criminal justice system, this is something we must do as a community. So I move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Commissioner Brooks, I think I agree with what you're saying. I think it would be good if we could have a work session sometime over the next couple of months, just to get a feel of. I know there's been a lot of work done, and just to kind of get a update on that and seeing what we may be able to do. So
that would be a great thing to do, and there are some exciting things on the drawing boards for the reentry process. I think you'd be very pleased to hear them.
Auditor's Office, Ms. Tidwell.
This morning, we're requesting that the Commissioners Court approve the release of approximately $206,474,000 in collateral as outlined in the attachment to your court communique.
Move approval.
second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Ms. Glenn?
Move approval to receive and file the personnel agenda.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file the personnel agenda. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
I'm going to wear my running shoes next week. Good morning.
Are they trying to tell you something?
I know. I think so. The second item that we have for the court this morning is we're asking for approval of 2008 stock. This is an item, of course, that we bring back to the year every year. The agreement that we have in place, the coverage that we have in place, again, is for 1 year. You have an attachment that I'll walk you through just very quickly. The carrier for this coverage is American Fidelity, and you have, hopefully behind your court communique, a document that actually lists a couple of options for you. Your first column, and hopefully yours is the same, your columns are the same colors as mine, but you should have a current column that's green that shows current specific coverage of $300,000 per claim. Then you'll have to the right of that options 1, 2, and 3. Option 1 would keep the specific stop loss at $300,000. Option 2 would increase it to $325,000. And then option 3, did I say option 2 or 3? Option 2 moves it to $325,000. Option 3 moves it to $350,000. A couple of comments. We've had the specific stop loss at $300,000 since 2004, so we've not increased the specific stop loss for several years. PEBC has been recommending for the last couple of years that we make an adjustment in the specific stop loss to address medical trend, which of course has been in the double digits for the past several years. If you look at option 1, the overall increase, if we keep the specific stop loss at $300,000, would be a 61% increase in premium, which is obviously rather significant. Option 2, if we increase the deductible to $325,000, we're looking at a 46% increase in premiums. And then option 3, we move it to $350,000, then we're looking at a 31% increase in premiums.
Do you have a recommendation?
I would recommend that the court adopt option 2, so that we again, we will increase the specific, and we won't be looking at such a big hit on the actual premium increases.
I will move the adoption of option 2.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion at this time? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 3, we're asking the court to approve a waiver of terminal benefits for the county clerk's office. The operations manager separated from county service at the end of '07 with 400 vacation hours. This position is critical to the strategic planning and direction of the county clerk's office. The fiscal impact for the waiver, if granted, is around $20,800, and the county clerk is requesting that the waiver be approved retroactively to January 1st.
Has there already been, I'll second, has there already been someone appointed to this position?
No, sir. We don't currently have the position posted. We do have the documentation. I believe it's scheduled to be posted next Monday.
Well, why are we going to January 1st? That's my question.
You mean retroactive to January?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question. That's a good question.
Well, I second for discussion purposes.
We would recommend that you would make it retroactive to today.
January 8th. And actually, January 14th, I guess. It'll be posted on next Monday, and I believe it's scheduled to run 20 days, 20 to 30 days.
Well, I'm for the replacement.
Mm-hmm.
Don't misunderstand what I'm saying, but there's no reason to back up to the first.
It's a point well made. What about January 14th?
Motion.
January 14th?
I'll amend my motion to January 14th.
And the second agrees.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the waiver of terminal benefits effective January the 14th, 2008. Any further discussion?
The only thing that really will change is the
fiscal impact. Yes, sir.
By a week.
Yes.
Yeah.
2 or whatever.
No other discussion. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Our fourth and final item, we're asking the court to approve waiver of terminal benefits for the tax office. The accounting director separated from county service on January 4th with 400 vacation hours. This individual serves as a senior manager who directs the accounting division and is also heavily involved in their e-government initiatives. The fiscal impact of this waiver, if granted, is approximately $16,500, and the tax office is requesting waiver be effective retro to 1/7, and we do in fact have this position posted.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Beecham. Now, I will tell you, I was pulling for your hogs on the first.
Not enough people did. I was too.
Yeah, it was.
I'm really disappointed we have anything on the agenda today.
Well, I figured you might be. But,
However,
you know,
there are probably fans in Kentucky and Arkansas that feel that since we both beat you, we should be considered as
just don't go there.
co-champions.
But, I mean, Jack, you just need to leave it alone.
I was struggling in the back of the room trying to remember if that gosh awful logo was the Wellness Committee logo. It's not. And I did.
Duff, where's my tiger? You put up, he couldn't find my tiger this morning.
And I did remind Steve Rayburn that certainly he didn't expect us to expedite any LSU tainted requisitions this week. The rest of it. Good champions, go SEC. We do have 4 items for your consideration this morning. Our first item is a bid award recommendation for bid number 2008-004. This is a bid for the replacement of jury box seating at the Tarrant County Justice Center. A recommendation will be to award the low bidder, Royer & Schutz Incorporated, the amount of $102,867.60.
And that's in the budget?
Yes, sir.
Move approval.
Jack, I had a question. Do you want to get a second?
I'll second.
Go ahead.
I noticed the second bid was $180,000. Is that correct?
Turn it.
198.
$198,000. Does that? Why might there be a disparity between those two bids? The second one had to buy them from the first one?
No, I don't think so. Just a different pricing structure. I mean, we've done business with Royer & Schutz for years and years. They're a reputable company, WBE company in Fort Worth, and just a difference in the profit margin.
It just seems like an awful lot of difference, but I guess that's what it is.
Well, I mean, as long as we're getting what we're supposed to get.
Yes, we are. And the judges all agreed upon that. It's just the jury box seating is all it is in all the courtrooms in the Justice Center.
It's not some close spec or something
No,
like
sir.
that.
No.
This is the only company in this region that can buy that product. And
No, sir.
Okay, any other discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 2 is another bid award recommendation in regards to bid number 2008-033. This is a bid for the purchase of variable frequency drives for different locations throughout the county. Recommendation, again, to award the low bidder, Timberlake and Dixon Incorporated, amount of $53,397.50.
Move approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 3 is also a bid award recommendation for bid number 2008-022. This is a bid for the purchase of custom file folders for the district clerk's office. Recommendation would be to award Accurate Form and Supplies, the amount of $31,010. It should be noted that bids received from Advantaged Office Products, Durr Graphics Incorporated, Drew and Rogers Incorporated, GM Data Products, and Moore Wallace, R.R. Donnelly's should be rejected for not meeting the specifications.
Move approval of the recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And our last item is an item in regards to RFP number 2008-032. This is an annual contract for temporary health care personnel. We are recommending rejection of all proposals and asking that we be allowed to reissue that RFP.
Move approval.
second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Commissioners, I believe we have several interlocal agreements on the schedule. First, Commissioner Van Ravensway. It's items 8K1 A through D.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve items 8K1 A through D. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Commissioner Fickus.
Yes, sir, we're doing some overlay projects in the city of Euless, and they brought forth the interlocal agreement and hope to get started on it. I move approval.
We have a motion and a second to approve items 8K2 A and B. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And Precinct 4 moves approval of item 8K3 A through H.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve items 8K3 A through H. Any other discussion? Please vote. The motion passes unanimously. Any appointments today? Appearing to be none. You have before you the claims, including the addendum.
Move approval of the claims, including the addendum.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the claims, including the addendum. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Briefing items, Mr. Manius.
Your Honor, we just have one item very briefly. Mr. Phillips would like to address the court as it relates to the capital improvement plan.
These guys don't use paperwork. Just give it to me. Move on.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I would like to update you on some upcoming project milestones regarding the 2006 Capital Improvement Program. Next week, we'll be presenting to court requesting the court to approve the program and site location for the medical examiner's facility. Also, right after that, once the court approves that, I'll be contacting the architects and engineering firms and the construction management firms that submitted for proposal for this project to give them a couple of weeks' notice to prepare for presentations for the court. So we would want to go ahead and schedule those presentations to court for the end of January or the 1st of February for those services for the medical examiners. On to the jail. We have scheduled on February the 26th the presentation of the program, concept floor plans, an elevation of the proposed jail, and the cost estimate for the jail. Currently, it is about a 7-level jail, and it'll take up the whole block. I don't have the square footage yet. We've met with the design consultants and Gilbane cost estimators last week to run through some of the issues with what's been laid out. We'll have that to the sheriff and his department here probably next week for their review to work out all the bugs and the weeds before we present that to court. But it looks like it'll be February 26th before we present that to court. It'll take about 30 days for Gilbane to develop a detailed cost estimate on the project, and they're working on that now. Civil Courts building. We had not, in our cash flow plan regarding the capital improvement program, we had not planned on expending any dollars until October of 2009 for this project. However, we could go ahead, if you'd like, go ahead and request qualifications for architectural engineering and construction management pre-design services for this project to get a head start on the planning. If you want to move forward, it would be about a year in advance than we had planned on, but that way maybe in May or so or June we could have interviews for the architects and engineers and the construction managers for this project, and you can go ahead and make that selection, and they can go ahead and do some preliminary planning for us, if you'd like.
Yeah, Court members, I would, I guess, a comment that I would make with that regards. I've had discussions, and I know many of y'all had, with various judges and with folks regarding the maybe the upcoming need, just because of the fact that more and more of the courts are beginning to get busier and busier in all of our divisions. And we're pretty well maxed out in our current Justice Center. We have a little bit of room over in the family law building, but I am afraid that I'm not sure we're going to be able to wait till 2011, 12 to build that building and to be into it. And so I'm afraid that we need to at least move up the planning part of that process. We'll also remember that we gave GK and Gary and David both a lot of abuse about how long it took to build the Family Law Center. I think the end result of what we've got, we're all very, very proud of, but I think that went to the fact that we spent a great deal of time in the planning process, and that was involving the community, involving all of the users in that building. And I think as a result of that, we have a building that we're very proud of and is very functional from that standpoint. So I would like for us to seriously consider maybe putting together a planning committee and beginning that process now. I don't think it's going to necessarily cost us dollars, but I think you're right that if we're going to do that, then we probably need to move along to, as you've just mentioned, maybe in the May, July area, at least looking at appointing that study committee, getting our architects and our CMs in line so that they can begin to be a part of that process also.
Have we decided for sure that it's going to be on this block over here? Is that?
Well, I'm not sure that, since we hadn't laid any concrete, I'm not sure that it's in the ground, but I mean, I think that was the assumption, but I'm certainly not.
Well, the only reason I ask, we just need to make sure, because in the planning process, it's going to make a difference, I think, where it's located.
Yes, Commissioner, we have all along priced our project around that particular block, Block 11. The College District is now in the process of extending underground utilities to that block as part of our exchange of land, and that process itself is $1 to $2 million, so there will be a significant investment to move over there, and we had planned all along to go to Block 11.
Somewhere in the process, we may need to take a formal vote to make that happen.
Yes, sir. Okay.
I think it's a great idea, and so I think that certainly looks good, and I agree with your suggestion there that we may want to move that forward, and I think that'd be a good idea too.
Okay, we'll move forward with that. The Juvenile Center, currently we're still working with the State of Texas Historical Commission. As part of the Antiquities Code, we're required to do some investigation regarding the site and any historical value the site may have, because we found those cornerstones 10 feet in the ground. The next couple of pages are just some other capital projects to give you some milestones on. And also in January, February, we would ask the court to allow us to make presentations regarding architectural engineering services and construction management services firms for the renovation project of this building. And we'll try to set those up for you. Also, next week, you'll see the contract for the architect and the agreement with the credit union on the agenda for them to relocate to the Plaza building, as well as you'll see the Historical Archives project. There's a consideration of an additional wall for that particular project, and I'll bring that for consideration to the court, and as well the tax office renovation that goes on in the Plaza building for their relocation. And lastly, project management regarding the capital improvement program. We hope to, probably in February, is to have the two firms that the court approved and us negotiate with, is to bring those two firms to the court and let them present a 5 to 10 minute presentation of their services and what they can do for us and what value they provide to the team. So we'll try to do that in February.
Any questions?
I want to back up, if I could, just a moment to the jail facilities.
Yes.
I recall a document from the sheriff's office that had indicated that the security was not resolved as far as when they moved from the old jails building over to the new facility. Has that been resolved? That was addressed, I believe, to UGK, to David, and maybe to you, Judge, and I haven't heard anything else about it.
The last,
But what I saw in that memo concerned me a little bit, because we've got security for this building over here now. From what I read in that memo, we're only going to have, the proposal is to secure the sheriff's office only. It gives me a little concern.
yes, you are correct. At the main public entry, we had planned on creating it somewhat similar to what this building is have a security station with a deputy there, and a grand staircase, which is not there now. We would have an open staircase for the people to go up to the tax office. All that would get, what's there now, there's a large security station with Radio Shack had. All that gets taken out and it gets opened up, more public friendly. And you're correct, Commissioner. I believe the last my staff has told me about, we've met with the architects, and what we're planning on is just a workstation or a desk, similar, up on the sheriff's floor for his security of his particular floor. And we would not have metal detectors for the building at all.
Well, some of the concern, and I'm assuming all of y'all got a copy of this memo I'm talking about. If you don't, we can get it and bring it back on the agenda later. But some of the concerns that were mentioned in there was the people that they're going to be having in sheriff's administration. I guess my question now, since we're building a new jail over there on that particular block, could something be done in that new jail to maybe set up interview rooms or whatever in that facility, rather than having to transport those prisoners over to the sheriff's administration office in that building?
Let us check on that. We had planned on using the service elevator for the building. Those, at least in theory, you could bring those interviewees into the basement of the building, drive through into the dock, put them on the service elevator and run them up to the sheriff's floor, and that way you wouldn't have to put them in the public elevators. But
well, it's
still may not.
Just something that I feel like is a court decision that needs to be made, and I think that we need to all visit with the sheriff and everybody that's involved, you and this court, get it resolved. Because I haven't seen a resolve to it yet.
David, I really want to thank you for this. I mean, I think this kind of outlines your milestones and a lot of your goals for the year, and I think that's very helpful as a court, at least as a court member. For me, I'm able to look at this and kind of have this in some place where I can kind of say, okay, here's what's coming up from your department. And I mean, this has to do with capital improvements, capital projects, and some of the other things. To the extent that there are other milestones that you're working on in your department, it really helps me to get a better feel of exactly, kind of what your priorities and what you're working on, and I appreciate it very much.
I used to send this out in a 20-page Microsoft Office project document, which I'm not sure.
No, that doesn't work very well.
Reads, so we're going to try to simplify it and put this on the web, and
especially for those that don't have a document, 20-page Word document reader.
Certainly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor, that's all we have at this time.
That's enough.
The Commissioners' Court will now recess the open session and proceed to closed session to discuss items exempted under Sections 551.071, 072, 074, 076, and 087 of the Texas Government Code.
That's part of the fallacy of these computers.